URC Power Rankings are back for the 2023-2024 season, folks. What are the Power Rankings? If you missed out on them last year, they are this guy's attempt to measure where the teams are at based on the kind of overall season, but also their current form. The table obviously will show you across the course of the season who's been pretty much the best side, who's got the most wins, who's racked up the most points. But with the Power Rankings, we're kind of ranking the teams differently based on their strength. Have you been beating teams who are strong, or have you been beating kind of weaker sides? So you could have two sides who've got the same record, but we're ranking one above the other because they've beaten tougher sides. We're looking at home and away as kind of being worth more to win away than home. We're looking at also a bit more weighting on the recency stuff. So if you started the season poorly but are on a 3-match unbeaten run, I might rank you higher than a team which has got more wins but has a bit of a kind of like a 2-match current losing run, that kind of thing. That's the idea anyway. So we'll go through it. Hopefully it's a bit of fun throughout the URC season and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I will say up front, I've seen about 1.5 games of the URC this season. World Cup was on for the first couple of rounds, so I didn't see any. This weekend just gone. I was planning to watch a bit more. I watched all of Glasgow and the Stormers, and I watched half of Munster and the Dragons. That's all I've seen. I was planning to see a bit more, but my son was crook over the weekend, spewed all over his bed. So, yeah, that was less than pleasant. But we'll go through the power rankings for the first 3 rounds. They'll certainly be changing a bit because a lot of the teams are on very similar records at the moment. But, yeah, you guys can let us know your thoughts. Bottom side, winless are the Dragons, sadly. They got thumped by Munster. As I said, I saw the second half of that game. They had their moments. They got 14 points, but they conceded 45 away at Munster. It wasn't at Thomond Park. It was the other ground. But, yeah, winless thus far this season, so not the ideal way to start. Winless, likewise, are Zebre. They seem to start off a little bit better and that their margins weren't too bad. They had a couple of close losses in the first 2 rounds, or at least the first round, right? But then they lost to the Bulls 54-29 at home. So, yeah, likewise, not a great look. They didn't win any games last year, so it's not gotten any better thus far in terms of the record. The Sharks, what's going on with the Sharks? I haven't seen any of their games, but they lost 19-5 to the Ospreys. Equally winless, although they have started the season with a tour, so maybe that doesn't help. Hopefully once they get back home, they can go a bit better. And then the Lions, also winless, 4 winless sides. They lost 15-10 to Benetton away in Italy. So, yeah, kind of hard to give these teams much more than the bottom row when they haven't got any wins. Next, we've got Cardiff, who are a win and 2 losses. They lost to the Scarlets 31-25 in a kind of Welsh derby at the weekend. So, yeah, pretty similar ranking to, I guess, what they had last year, kind of lower mid-table. We'll see which Welsh side is looking the strongest as the season progresses. But the Scarlets, the team that beat them, I've got them 1 spot above, also with a 1-2 record. So the only side that Scarlets have beaten is that Cardiff side at the weekend. I know Dwayne Peel was kind of critical of that Barbars Wales game being played at this kind of time. It's a bit disruptive for him, but yeah, there you go, 1-2. And then most of the rest of the teams are sitting at 2-1. There's only one team with a perfect record, and you can guess where they are going on the power rankings. But Edinburgh, who's got 2-1, they are in 10th. They lost their first game away to Leinster, so there's no kind of real shame in that one, to be honest, because just quietly, Leinster tend to be a pretty good side, but 36-27, I didn't see a second of it. The Stormers had their first loss, and I saw all of it, and it was a bit bizarre, because the Stormers is a real attacking side. They played not well. They didn't really fire a shot in that game. Glasgow were too good for them. There was a scoreless second half in that game. Glasgow couldn't secure a bonus point, and the Stormers basically failed to fire a shot the entire game, which was bizarre. It's finished 20-9. Which, as I said, was the halftime score. The Ospreys are also at 2-1 with that victory over the Sharks, 19-5. So they are the highest ranked of the Welsh teams thus far. Ulster suffered their first defeat at the hands of Connacht, which is, those Irish matches are always pretty tough. I know they've rejigged the rules for the qualification for the Champions Cup, which probably makes sense because, having to play the Irish teams double everybody else for those kind of Irish Shield teams tends to be a pretty tough go on. But Ulster As I said, first loss was only 2 points, so away from home, can't complain too much. It's a decent losing bonus point to be getting. Glasgow, as I mentioned, with that win over the Stormers, are in 6th. They look really good in the first half. Look really, really good. They'll be gutted they couldn't get a losing bonus point, a 4-try bonus point, because they had 15 on 13 at the start of that second half. So, yeah, certainly let the Stormers guys off the hook there. It did seem pretty bloody cold. And then the Bulls. The Bulls with that big win over in Italy over Zebre. It's a win they should be expecting to get. 54-29. Pretty convincing. Top row. Who would have thought Benetton in the top row for the first power rankings? We're 3 weeks in. Undefeated. One of only 3 undefeated sides. 2 wins and a draw. 15 points to 10 winners over the Lions is not hugely convincing, but unbeaten. Unbeaten from 3 games. Leinster have dropped a game. They dropped a game in the opening round. I didn't see it. I am going to assume they played a bunch of the academy guys, but correct me if I'm wrong. They beat Edinburgh 36-27, so seemingly getting back on track. Munster, the reigning champions, also one of our undefeated sides with a 2-win and a draw record that they got against Benetton. They beat the Dragons 45-14, so pretty convincing at home. But it's Connacht. I'm wearing your jersey for a reason. Number 1 on the power rankings. This is the first time Connacht has ever been in number 1 on my URC power rankings. I would have to imagine so. They beat Ulster 22-20. I was planning on watching it, but again, a spewing child got in the way of that one. So there you go. The power rankings for the first, well, my first one, but 3 rounds after the URC. I've adjusted the formula a bit. It's nothing too fancy, but I've adjusted it a little bit to hopefully make it a bit more improved for this year, but we will have to see how it goes across the course of the season. 3 games in, it's a bit early to take any kind of massive conclusions from it, but I look forward to following the season with the rest of you guys. Good thing about the URC is a lot of games free to air, which is bizarre. Even here in New Zealand, half of the games are on free. Pretty much all the South African teams, they're on TVNZ. I know the Irish broadcasters, RTE and TG4. I know you guys don't call it TG4, you could pronounce it some other way. But the Irish language channel have games free. They have games free on S4C. I think it's mainly the South Africans, the Scots, and the Italians that are all behind paywalls. But generally speaking, it's a good chunk of the games free to air. VPNs and whatnot are also pretty useful. But yes, you guys let us know your thoughts on the power rankings. URC 3 weeks in. Look forward to following this one. Take care, guys, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.